You'll notice that there are 2 pages that we haven't addressed yet in your workbook. And so to finalize your submittal, you'll need to finish those 2 pages. They're the first page and the last page. So the first page is pretty straightforward. Find an image of commercial site work, somewhat near that size, that aspect ratio of width to height, and place that there. And then place an image of residential site work right here, something similar to that size. And that's all you need to do on your first page. Going to the last page, there's some work to do. First, this is what's called a certification. It's one of the most important activities in design. It's where you certify, promise, tell everybody, make sure that you have done everything in accord to good, proper, appropriate standards and the best of your abilities so that your client can actually rely on the work that you did. And, so certifications are very, very important. At some point, of course, your work gets checked if you're at a entry level position, but eventually somebody's going to start relying on your certifications. So we want to get you used to doing that already. So your name goes here. You can type in your name and then read each one of these and place a yes or a no X. I certify that this work is my own work. So this entire thing here is your own work and is a true representation of my skill, my ability, and the available time that I have to complete work. If you have great skill but no time, you still have to do this yourself. You don't get help on it. Okay, now there are limits of that. You are allowed to collaborate a little bit. You'll get training on that as we go along, but there's nothing you need to collaborate with on this week, section 1. So this is telling whoever reads this workbook that it's your own work. And so I'm hoping that you all put a yes in there. And you can format this a little bit better if you want. You can make it bigger, maybe a 36, and maybe put it in the middle and in the middle. So that looks good. And then you answer these questions. Was technology and access to software a difficulty? Sometimes for some people it is, and sometimes it's not. Did technology and access to software slow you down? Sometimes it's difficult, but you were able to plow through and move very quickly. Sometimes it wasn't difficult, but it did slow you down. Spending adequate time, was that a difficulty? Yes or no? Now, the only one of these that really, really your grade depends on it is this first one. If you say no and you got a lot of help and it wasn't your work, you get a 0 on this. If you do a false certification where you say yes and I see that you did somebody else's work, used somebody else's work, and I find evidence of that, then both people get a 0. Okay, for everything in this section. So you want to be very careful. Do your own work. If you're late, don't worry about it. Turn in what you've got and do the rest as a revision. Not a problem. Okay, so these will all get some sort of a value placed in it. And then you get to do this optional, very cool optional feedback thing where you get to create a face that tells me what you thought. Okay, so maybe you loved this section and it made you laugh. And you can submit that. Or maybe it was like it went way too fast and you're very sad about that and You're terrified about what your grade might believe, and you can't believe there was so much work. You can submit that. Any of these that you'd like to submit, you get to do. It is anonymous, by the way, and you just click the submit button. I get the data from this so that I can see kind of what people's reaction to the unit was. Okay, so you get to give me a physical reaction, as close to a physical reaction as you can. Now, this is optional, but it really is good data for me. Okay, so there you go. Those are the last two things to do to finish. And then, as good file management practices, we're going to download this as a PDF and then put that in my work to submit. Okay, so there you go. That is the end of your workbook for section 1. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to look forward to seeing your work and checking it over and giving you feedback. And then we'll get on to workbook section 2. Now remember, if you turn this in on time, you get to revise any markups that I made without penalty at all. Okay? If you submit it late, I will wait till the end of the semester and grade half of your late work. So you won't have a chance to do revisions on it. So please make a substantial revision. Okay? Turning in an empty one doesn't count. It has to be substantially done for you to get that. But do the best that you can. Turn in what you've got. Start getting some feedback. That is part of the design process. Getting feedback to make things more and more clear. And oops, sorry, I did the wrong thing there. Hold on. I'm seeing that. There we go. Got it. Get that good feedback and then just apply that feedback to continuously improve your work. Great. I look forward to seeing what you turn in.